The words Seiko and Kinetic usually don't excite the average watch collector, but I'm here today to say there are certainly exceptions to the rule. And with that, I present you the Seiko Master Collection. It's a series of sports watches that were Japanese domestic market only that were released in the late 90s. They're all based on the 5M45 quartz kinetic movement, and it has a GMT hand complication. All three have the same. It allows you to independently adjust the hour hand, and I have a separate video showing that. If you think about it, these probably had an inspiration that came from another watch. And that probably is this guy, the Rolex Explorer 2, which has an automatic GMT hand with an independent setting mechanism for the hour hand, also shown in another video. But even though it was inspired by that, I feel Seiko created their own unique watches with these designs. A little bit less so with the Flightmaster, because there's also, I believe, an Omega Flightmaster GMT, or no, I'm sorry, Seamaster, that also has a similar looking bezel. But I'm willing to overlook that, personally, because I like the overall design. All watch cases are titanium, and since these were made in the late 90s, sort of the pre-big watch period, the cases are roughly 40 millimeters and they have 19 millimeter lugs. The Scubamaster is a little bit high, but you can get used to it without too much trouble. The Landmaster and the Scubamaster are monocoque one-piece cases. No case back here. To access or service them, you'd have to remove the bezel, then unscrew the crystal, then remove the dial with the movement. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that, so I'd send it in for service, either if you're in the US, Seiko, and I think in New Jersey, or maybe Jack, IWW, something along those lines. The Flightmaster, on the other hand, has a regular case back that you can unscrew and switch out the capacitor. When I say switch out the capacitor, my point is the original movements in these, as I said before, is a 5M45, and those movements were notorious for having a leaky capacitor, so you typically need to change out at least the capacitor, or if not, upgrade the movement itself. I bought these watches on Yahoo Auctions Japan 6+ years ago, so I don't know the movement history. They don't have a really reliable power reserve. I mean, the Scubamaster and the Landmaster will be okay if you wear them regularly, but they won't last too long if you don't. Now, it doesn't bother me so much, and I've not been motivated to change anything out because I have an original Seiko Kinetic charger. Those, I think, are discontinued, and I believe, I forgot which form it is, there's been some experimentation with the use of a electric toothbrush charger to charge up the capacitor. I believe that's the case, and you'd have to research it more on your own to see if that works. But again, I find if I wear them on a regular basis, they work. When you see it skipping a second, like doing a 2-second tick, that shows it's a weak power reserve. And incidentally, that's what the 2 o'clock button is for. If you press it, it'll show you what the power reserve is. Usually, if it goes on the older ones, if it goes 5 dashes or 5 seconds, that's its maximum capacity. But again, as a collector with a lot of watches, it doesn't, the power reserve isn't that essential for me. So the Landmaster and Scubamaster are a bit unique, and I mentioned that the Flightmaster has a bit more inspiration. The really other interesting thing about the Flightmaster is the name. Collectors may be aware of another Flightmaster that came before. My understanding is the Flightmaster for Omega, their trademark, had expired, and that's why Seiko was able to use the Flightmaster designation on this one. I believe Omega subsequently released some sort of digital Flightmaster, so I don't know how that would work, but that's not really important here. What is important here is I'd like to emphasize how great these watches are, even though I've had them in storage for a long time, because the longer you collect watches, the more you become interested in older watches or automatic movements or hand-wind movements and various complications. The lowly Seiko Kinetic quartz isn't something that I really care much about anymore. But for whatever reason, I decided to take them out of storage, and I've been wearing them for the last month or so. And I've really been amazed by how durable and fun they are to wear. I mean, I happen to like the aesthetic, so that would depend on you individually. But I think they're really great looking watches, and they have a lot of features. They're all made of titanium, and they have a lot of really great little details, and they have really great lume as well, as evidenced here. The Landmaster, even though I have a separate review for this, just a quick summary. This is a basic titanium Landmaster. There's also an older stainless steel one. But the really interesting thing is Seiko has released many different Landmasters after this one that were made of different materials like ceramic titanium combinations, things like that. This, I believe, is a limited run of 1,000, and it's not that easy to get. There's also a yellow version, a so-called Pippin version, that had I believe, a yellow dial with a map on it. And the details on the Flightmaster are a bit fuzzy. I think that may also have been a limited run of 1,000. Regardless, if you're be looking for something like this, you'd probably have to go on Yahoo auctions to get a better price. Now, since these watches are from the late 90s, parts aren't so easy to get. So, like in my case, this upper part of the bezel is faded. It was originally black, but now it's sort of a polished steel that you can't really see well here because of the light. Good luck getting a replacement bezel for that, but that's just what it is. I don't know if this watch was originally exposed to too much light or something, but you have to come to terms, if you have watches like this, parts will be very difficult to obtain, aside from any updates to the quartz, the kinetic movement, which is really, really easy and straightforward. So basically, to summarize, these are really, really underrated watches, and a lot of people make the mistake of looking down at them simply because they're just kinetic watches. But the reality is they're really well-made watches with a lot of detail, and they're very, very usable on a day-to-day basis, especially since they're a smaller size. And for reference, this is model number SBCW001. This is SBCW003, and this is SBCW005. That's about it for this video, and as usual, thanks for watching.